Because the world is actually facing what is currently unprecedented era of complexity. You think on one side we have rapid technological change, you then also have global economic shifts. There's even the ability of nations to try and adapt and respond, which, if anything, is more critical than ever because there's so much ever changing. Today we're going to explore just how governments can build those agile and effective institutions and navigate this complex landscape. We're joined in studio by Professor and Director of the China Institute at Fudan University. That's Professor Zhang Weiwei. Professor Zhang, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been in South Africa 3 days. Enjoyed the sunshine at the very least?
Always. Actually, I've been here many times before.
Okay, so that means you're coming back as well.
In a way, yes, it is.
Fantastic. Professor, let's just start with talking about the complexity of the world we live in right now and how you see it. Especially the role different countries are playing. Yourselves, China, the United States and the global sphere, Europe, and how South Africa can play in that, if you will.
Essentially, we are undergoing a tremendous change, unprecedented in human history in the, say, past hundreds of years at least. In many ways, it's moving from a unipolarity to multipolarity. If you look at the total size of the economy of BRICS, 11 members, it's already much larger than G7 in terms of purchasing power parity, roughly 40% GDP vis-a-vis 33%. But what we haven't established is a multipolar world order. Multipolar world is there, but the order is still to be born. I think hopefully with the effort of South Africa, China, Russia, India, and more from the global south, we can try to shape a better, fairer, and more development-friendly world order.
But how do we do that without making the old world order, if we want to call it that, angry? Or disappointed or wanting to fight back, because that feels like that's what's happening right now. As you try to find a different way, that old world order fights back.
In a way, it is true. Yet we have to see very clearly which kind of world represents the future. Most countries, most people in the world prefer a fairer and development and more inclusive world and world order. And it is something at least China is advocating and practicing. If you look at China's promotion of this Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, it's already $1 trillion invested and over 4,000 projects, 150 countries involved. So it's already huge and influential. Furthermore, China is now the largest trading partner for over 140 countries. So I said, United States want to withdraw from globalization. China said, we can continue to promote our globalization, new style, based on what we call the building together, discussing together, and benefiting together.
And I have two questions with regards to that then, because one, it feels as though the perception or the idea of globalization has changed completely.
You're right.
Is it still the same as it was when, for example, Bill Clinton came up with the idea back in the early 90s to speak about China needing to be the economic hub of the world and changing the way we did things? Have we changed completely from that now? And are we fighting what is an old industry and trying to make it different now?
Now, the point is more and more you see fundamentals began to change. I remember the former EU senior diplomat, Borrelli, High Representative here. He said not long ago, today, economically, technologically, militarily, ideologically, Global South has all alternatives to the Western institutions, whatever. So this is important. For instance, if economically, Global South is bigger, and China is already a much bigger economy than the United States, if you look at purchasing power parity, since 2014. So over more than roughly a decade, China is a larger economy. And also in purchasing power parity, China is a larger market. I saw US impose 30% tariff on South Africa, So sell this to China.
Also,
Yeah.
fully understandable. But how do you balance, and maybe you can give us an example from
Yeah,
China here.
yeah.
How does China then balance its strategic interests in Africa,
Yeah.
right, which are very critical and
Yeah.
important for it?
Yeah.
Access to resource, political influence, which may be there, market expansion, with its own local development goals. Because the question becomes, if you're looking elsewhere, are you done fixing yourselves as a country?
China, Africa have enjoyed actually very good relations for decades. Our support for the struggle against apartheid, really, and for the decolonization, for the national liberation movement since 1960s. So this friendship was already there. Now, with globalization, China is economic powerhouse and driving many developments, even in Africa. I said, if you look at what China has done for Africa, we are trying to build regional transportation networks, air, transport, harbors, highways. This is totally different from the old imperialist colonialist approach, which is based on, if you look at the situation then, you know, you want to fly from West Africa, from Ghana, to East Africa, to Kenya, you have to go via London.
Yes.
Yeah. But China said, let's do something together, based on principle of discussing together, building together, benefiting together. And it's working. It's also good for China, because now China is arguably the leader in, say, EVs, and 70% of the world's product. And this kind of raw materials from lithium, battery, etc., many of these materials come from Africa. So it's China Biden for China's own benefit, but for world market. Yeah.
So how do you make sure then you convince people, whether it be across Africa or even the rest of the world, that China's Africa strategy is actually part of a shall we say, a rooted and shared interest in the global South, as opposed to just fighting off the West? Because that can be what some people see, right? That you're only doing this so that you can be better than the West.
Yeah. Obviously, it's very different. The example I gave just now explains a lot. We try to build a regional network. The philosophy of China is not divide and rule. It's just opposite. It's unite and prosper. The more Africa united, the better for Africa, for China, for the world. So we help build this headquarters of the African Union, and we promote African unity, regional integration. For one thing, given the size of the market with all the small countries, in this age of the internet, it's not that favorable for economic development. The larger the market is, we also encourage Africa to be a kind of civilizational community. That will have more common identity. I call China a civilizational state. It's an amalgamation of hundreds of states into one of its long history. So this experience we can share together.
The lessons that Africa can perhaps learn from China. You're currently moving from a made in China philosophy to a created in China philosophy, which is a whole lot about innovation. I mean, if one takes a look at the example you gave, electric vehicles, the likes of BYD and all of those have been major players now in the world, usurping certain other parts. How can African countries, and South Africa especially then, turn things around quickly, be agile to the changing environment in which we live in?
From Chinese experience, for one thing, in the case of Africa, again, from my personal observation, we have to make effort to produce long-term plans. The EV, as an example, is the result of 4 5-year plans, which means 20 years. Without interruption, continuous experimenting and working on different projects. As a result, it has worked. So how to break this cycle of election and populism, this is a challenge for Africa and for many countries that have more or less adopted Western multi-party system. And this is a challenge. If you look at another example, China today as a civilization state, we emphasize a lot on education, especially on STEM, science, technology, engineering. Today, China has, every year we produce more engineers, scientists than Western countries combined. I'll give you another figure. every day, in the case of China, 70.24 million engineers, scientists working in R&D in all areas. That's almost 4 and 5 times that of the United States. That's why we're outcompeting the United States.
Yeah. And that allows the fluidity for then you're able to react better because there's so many of you that you've made able to react to all of those things. How do you think the world, no, not the world, how do you think Africa should be reacting to the tariffs that have been placed on it by the United States?
Essentially, this kind of imposition of tariff war is grossly unfair for the global South. The United States itself has benefited so much from globalization. But the problem is the distribution system in the United States is unfair. The profits goes to top 1%, even less. That's the problem. But now they want to, levy tax. Fortunately, there is a China. We can, at the time when the United States, Donald Trump declared tariff on South Africa and Africa as a whole, China just declared not long ago, 0 tariff for all African goods, except one small country, which had diplomatic relations with Taiwan.
Of course.
For the rest,
of course,
it's no tariff.
But then that goes back to the question I asked a little bit earlier. That in that case, is this something that Africa needs to accept? That it will have to play a small bit role and a small part role in whoever offers us the best deal, and we will just keep going with that, with those people, without the shared interests of Africa being at hand?
I think it's a process, and you need to have exporting markets, and you need to have all kinds of, whatever income for building up your industries, etc. I think at the end of the day, it's the industrialization, manufacturing industries, whatever you can build in Africa. That's extremely important. What China had done is, like Africa, in fact, 4-5 decades ago, China's per capita GDP was smaller than most African countries. It's the level of Malawi, but China is now the largest economy by purchasing power parity.
Was that because of decisive action? Because is that what we might be missing in Africa? Just the decisive action of leaders to actually just do things, and then hopefully it works out, and that's the hope, I guess.
Long-term vision, long-termism, and then have the whole state structure enabled to have them executed, the long vision execute. So China always have long-term plans, plan up to 2050, 2035, and then in between, 5-year plan, 5-year plan, 5-year plan.
Yeah, so, very, very interesting, considering even the leadership, which remains stable for quite some time when it comes to China as well. Would you say the tariffs that have been implemented by the United States have actually accelerated your own self-reliance, and then maybe the world will become a little bit more self-reliant? And has it exposed a few vulnerabilities in the rest of the world?
In fact, one is the tariff war, one is the high-tech war. For tariff war, China is not concerned, not worried at all, because we made a calculation. The U.S. economy depends far more on China than vice versa.
Wow, interesting.
Really, I remember when Donald Trump was declaring 60% increase of tariff in the election campaign. I said to an American reporter, tell your president, make it 600%. It's better.
I remember that, yes.
Your supermarket will be empty, or half empty at least. So we are very confident. For high-tech war, it's a challenge for China. We had indeed very powerful scientific technological capacity, but we think it's a fair to market. If something chips produced in the United States, cheaper than produced in China, we buy them. It's an ecosystem. But they impose this tech war on China, ban Huawei, ban chips, ban all kinds of advanced technologies. But fortunately, in many ways, we should give a medal to Donald Trump. If you look at the latest report by Australian think tank called ASPI, it made a measurement. Out of the 64 most critical technologies, China leads the United States now, today, in 54.
Wow.
In 57 of them. And this is changing in 10 years.
That's fascinating. So I'm not sure you want to give Donald Trump a medal. He will absolutely love it. I can imagine that much as well. Indeed, indeed. Professor, Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I think, if anything, this conversation is enlightening. And it talks about the multilateralism between China, Africa, and even South Africa and the rest of the world. So appreciate you coming into studio. I know you're here and you're leaving then tomorrow. Enjoy the sunshine as well and your time in the country. And hopefully we'll see you again.
Many.
Professor Zhang Weiwei, then a professor and director of the China Institute at Fudan University.